The Tennessee Titans find a way in Indianapolis, and they're 2-2. 24-17, the Titans beat the Colts today. An AFC South win. It wasn't pretty, but it was beautiful. Alongside former Tennessee Titan Keith Bulluck filling in today. My name is Will Boling. Welcome to Titans Talk back here on 104.5 The Zone, where Keith, they found a way today, didn't they?
Sometimes that's just the name of the game. You know?
Sure is.
When you got to get it done with what you're working with, and like you said, they found a way. They held on to the lead, got up early, held on to the lead, and left Indy with a W.
28 second half yards, but 24 points. The stat that matters today for the Tennessee Titans, getting a 24-17 win over the Indianapolis Colts. The way you jump in on the conversation on the phone lines is by calling 615-737-1045. The phone number, 737-1045. If you want to jump in on the conversation, we will be with you until 6:30, leading you up to Sunday Night Football coverage here. But we're not worried about that. We are worried about a big-time win where Keith Bulluck, the offense was led once again by King Henry, and that is a classic Titans win behind a classic Derrick Henry performance. 22 carries for 114 yards today to get the win.
Yeah, I think the Titans did a great job of going with their bread and butter, obviously starting the game out, getting him involved same way kind of as they did last year. Get him involved with the pass, get him moving up north and south, and, getting those linemen moving, getting everybody in the flow of the game. And then when it was time to seal the deal after they had been stopped a lot of times in the third quarter, the second half, they went right back to King Henry to seal the deal. And obviously that last third down play, the Colts defense was all geared up to stop Derrick Henry with maybe a quick dive or whatever they expected. And the Titans were able to get the tight end / fullback in the flat for the first down and to seal that victory.
615-737-1045. Lots to discuss off of this win and lots of your phone calls here today on Titans Talk Back, presented by Lee Company. And we begin with Charles in Murfreesboro leading us off today. Hello, Charles.
How you doing, guys?
We're good.
All right.
I'm doing great. Hey, you know what? I know the last couple of weeks has been kind of yucky for the Titans, which is okay. But now they have done come back, and hey, they got 2 road wins, especially a divisional win today, which was great and everything. And Derrick Henry is back on track, I do think. And but they really, I've never known Tennessee to be a first half team. They need to come back and be a second half team. And I think, the way they're going right now, if they keep playing the way they are and stuff, I do believe they'll be number 1 first seed again. Tell me what y'all think and everything, and it was nice talking to you guys.
Thank you, Charles. What to you was the biggest difference between the first half and the second half today for the Titans on offense?
Not moving the ball. They got 28 yards in the second half, and a lot of that had to do with you have to take your hat off to the Colts. They had a defensive game plan. They adjusted their defensive game plan. Derrick Henry actually had 104 yards going into the third quarter, and they actually took those, they knocked him out. He didn't regain 100 yards until later in the fourth quarter. So the Colts definitely stiffened up against the run to negate Derrick Henry. Obviously, they were one of the top 5 or top 3 defenses against the run, and they showed why in the second half, which they weren't able to do. So Derrick Henry was everything to do with why the Titans had success early in that first half, as well as the defensive causing turnovers and giving the offense the ball in positions where they don't have to go 70, 80 yards for scores, just maybe get a couple first downs, and it got a touchdown or a field goal.
615-737-1045 is how you join the conversation today on Titans Talk Back. Eric in Nashville is up next reacting to this win. What's going on, Eric?
Hey, guys, let me say this. The Titans sure don't make it easy because I feel like every time lately I watch the play, you're about to have a heart attack. Listen, guys, am I happy we won? Yeah, I'm happy we won. But still, it's just so frustrating. Since game one, we've only had one touchdown in the second half. We get up big on the Raiders, had to barely hang on win. We get up big on the Colts, especially when we struggled and messed up that first half where we could have had more points and everything. But it's so frustrating that the offense can't get it going or just whatever it is. I mean, the defense made some great plays, great stops, especially getting that fumble from Jonathan Taylor and also getting the sack late in the ball game. But just with the types of teams we've got upcoming on the schedule, it's just you can't keep playing like this and hope for the win, especially for quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Hurts, those type of quarterbacks, Justin Herbert coming up on the schedule. You got to be able to take advantage of your opportunities when you can get them because it came back to bite us first game. It didn't the last two games, but it's just frustrating because I know you can't keep playing like this and hoping to win. You got to be able to do whatever we need to do to try and get more offense and points, especially the second half, because I just got a feeling, guys, it will eventually come back to bite us. I mean, I'm happy we won, but it's just, that's just my comments, my thoughts, guys. Y'all take care, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Eric. It's true. I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to that. Ultimately, today, Keith, the defense just made the plays and forced the turnovers and the Colts' mistakes that you had to force in order to help out your offense and pick up your offense in that second half.
Yeah, and, if you really watch the Titans, you should have known their strong point on the team was going to be that defense. If you saw the last game of the season against the Bengals, you saw that defense meant business. Obviously, they're still trying to patch in and fill in some spots to make them even stronger. But a team like the Colts and some of these, more middle of the pack teams, you can get by like that. But the caller is absolutely right. Once you start facing these more high powered offenses that, if you put up 24 in the first quarter, they can come right back. You already saw that happen with the Raiders, how they were able to come back and put up points. And even today, Matt Ryan, I got to give it to my boy Slay, Ron Slay. He's not high on Matt Ryan. And
no, he is not.
Matt Ryan had some pretty decent numbers, but watching Matt Ryan, I have to kind of start to agree with Ron Slay's take on Matt Ryan. He's out there like a sitting deer and a walking turnover, but you got to win those games. Obviously, I don't see the Titans as the number one team in the NFL right now or the AFC right now, but they very well can be the number one team in the AFC South. And then once January comes and you're holding that number one seed from the AFC South, it's anybody's game once the playoff comes.
And when you look at ways you beat the Indianapolis Colts and specific ways you play against Matt Ryan, Keith, forcing him off of his platform, always the way you want to make him uncomfortable and make him move a little bit. Danico Autry was everywhere today for the Titans defense and forcing Matt Ryan kind of off his spot and making those throws a lot tougher.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you're always going to be able to do to quarterbacks that don't move well. Put the pressure in their face, collapse that pocket. It's not more so about the speed rush on the outside. Yeah, that's great if you win your one-on-one matchup, but those guys in the interior pushing the line back and not allowing that quarterback to step up and throw makes it very tough. And Danico Autry did a great job of that on passing downs. Jeffrey Simmons did a hell of a job on that, on running downs as well as passing downs. And it was just not many clean pockets for Matt Ryan today. And even when he did have the clean pockets, secondary coverage was pretty decent today.
615-737-1045 is the phone number today on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Up next, it's Heather in Columbus, Ohio, celebrating with us today. What's going on, Heather?
Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing on today?
All right.
I wanted to say that I am wonderful. Well, I wanted to say this, that I am so happy that the Titans won their second game. And also, I agree with Eric, what he's saying. In the third quarter, oh my God, they almost gave me a heart attack, but thank God it didn't happen. But in in the first half, they worked together as a team, and Derrick Henry, Robert Woods did the touchdown. That was awesome. But the second half, I don't know what is going on in second half, but they fight all the way through to the fourth quarter. But for some reason, Ryan Tannehill holds the ball too long. He could have thrown the ball, but instead, the same thing he did before, but he was sacked. But other than that, I'm happy that the Titans win. On the next road game against Washington, listen to me, Titan fans, 3-2, not 2-3. Who run it? We run it. That's all I got to say. The Titans is going to run it, and let's win this game, Titans, all the way to Derrick Henry, number 22. Let's keep it running. Let's keep it rolling like you did in Alabama. Roll Tide, roll Tide, roll Tide, and tighten up. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Tighten up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the call, Heather. It's good stuff.
Like it.
Heather's called in 2 straight weeks now. She burst out in song a little bit for us last week. I'm a little disappointed we didn't get a musical rendition from Heather today.
Yeah, I would have liked to hear the song. Heather brings it. I love it.
615-737-1045. Roy is calling from Lucas Oil Stadium, making the trip today to see the Titans win. What's going on, Roy?
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, it was great. Hey, it was a great win.
You had them tall boys going today, Roy?
Yeah, I did. I was glad we didn't tie. I mean, I was like, oh, my God.
Oh, man.
It could have happened. It could have happened. I mean, both teams are struggling. Let me tell you this, though. I mean, I'm at every home Titan game, and I'm up here in Lucas Oil in the enemy's territory, and there's very few and far between with Titan jerseys. But when I'm in Nissan Stadium, their fans travel well. So Nashville, quit selling your damn PSLs to other fans. Straight up, get the fans in the seat. All right, I'm putting it out there. I'll say
Roy, hold up. I want to ask you a question, Roy, real quick. When you're the Titans fan out there representing at away games, you know, what is the mood like? You know, what is the most aggressive stadium that you've been to? How is Indy?
They're relaxed. I'm gonna tell you this. I mean, they're relaxed. It's the house that Peyton built. Okay. They're relaxed. Their demeanor is calm. They're the calmest fans I've been around. The nicest fans I've been around. Straight up, cool. The nicest fans. But I will say this: our defense kept us in the game. Too many penalties out there, unnecessary penalties. Running game is getting better. Derrick Henry and Hillard making plays. Tannehill in the pocket, offensive line's young. I mean, he looked okay. A couple times he probably should have thrown away or, you know, maybe done something else different with the ball. But, hey, he looked okay. But I will say this right here also. Kevin Byard was all over the field. Simmons did good. Weaver did crazy good. Autry against his former team, he balled out. The biggest thing that I can take out for this, it's a win in the AFC South. It's anybody's game. But, get the fans in the seat for the hometown. I mean, these Colts fans, they were hungry. They were loud. I mean, but they were nice. They were, and I was like, this could have went either way. And all I can say is tighten up. Maybe we can go to Washington take the win. But, hey, the penalties are going to have to stop. I mean, unnecessary penalties. Good coaching today. Don't blame our offensive coordinator for stupid play calling. We did pretty good. Just hey, could have went either way. Tighten up, guys.
Thank you, Roy.
Yeah.
Nice fans, but
yeah,
I wanted to win. Nice fans.
I always wonder, I knew Colts fans were pretty nice. They start off like, hey, Bulluck, up yours and all that stuff. And then by the end, let me get your gloves. I knew you guys were softies.
So I went as a road fan to Lucas Oil Stadium last year to see that game. And every time Jonathan Taylor would have a run of 4 or more yards, there was this one guy beside us who would just go, "Oh, it's best back in the league, best back in the league right there." Just come on, do less.
They tapped out today.
Yeah, they were. They were. We've got a treat, ladies and gentlemen, because on the phone lines joining us at 615-737-1045, Mr. Ron Slay has called in. Ron Slay, what's going on?
Hey, man, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
What's happening? Hey, you called it.
Bully!
Slay, talk your talk, buddy. Talk your talk.
Hey, man, I will. Listen, man, all I'm saying is, people think I'm crazy, man. People think I'm hating. They be like, come on, Slay can't be that bad. Come on, man. The man was an NFL MVP. Listen, I don't dispute any of that. I'm just saying from that point to this point now, that man is Nathaniel. You hear me?
Yeah, that's a fact.
I mean, Nathaniel, I told that bully when we was out there Friday, man, the best thing that can happen for this Titans defense right now is to go against an object that cannot move.
Yeah.
Hey, man, Big Jeff getting doubled. I told him coming into it, D'Amico still got a chip on his shoulder when he played the Colts. The man, 3 sacks, and what did he do? Not only throw a pick, the man coughed it up twice, man.
He earned the nickname Nathaniel for sure.
Come
Matthew
on, man.
Nathaniel Ryan.
Hey, brother, all I'm saying is, man, sometimes you done seen enough of a guy to know, man, the best, it's in the past, man. It's in the past. And going against a guy like this, like, what's up? Talk to me, brother.
You know what, though? Like, you go look at the box score.
Yeah,
you're gonna take that. But then as I'm sitting there watching the game, I couldn't help but think about you. I'm like, hey, man, Slay won't lie. Like, I don't know if Matt Ryan, I'm sitting there looking like, damn, Matt Ryan, what you doing?
Tell you what, Ron Slay has the ability.
God.
Ron Slay has the ability to look in a guy's eyes and know if they've got it or not. And I see Ron Slay looking Matt Ryan in the eyes, even on a screen, and saying, nope, doesn't have it.
Matt Ryan's out there like Kevin Costner in 10 Cup, man. He got one more shot in hell.
Hey, man, that's it, dog. And I was telling Babs, man, and I'm going to let y'all go. I'm telling Babs, you look at the stats, and at the end of the game, you're like, dang, man, Matt Ryan, he looked pretty good. Like the last game, he engineered the last drive to make him win the game. That's cool, but those stats are null and void, man. When you got to fight from behind, like anybody can have. If I'm down 14-0 every game, or down 13-0 or 10-0, yeah, I'm gonna have some stats too. Because in a minute, we gotta cancel everything we do. We're giving it to Jonathan Taylor and just throw the ball. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna have some stats at the end of the game. But what do the stats mean when you're having an impact? His impact is terrible, man. I'm just saying. Yeah. Hey, man, we said at the beginning of the season, Bully, all they need to do is win the AFC South.
Hey, I'm glad he played for the other team, so it's all good.
You can hear Ron Slay weekdays 3 to 6, 3HL here on the Zone. Tomorrow is going to be must-listen radio, Ron Slay, for I know you're going to have an extra.
No
the show will have no room.
Hey, guess what? Guess what, Bully? I would say he's so lost in the sauce right now, man. He didn't even know that's what we like. Open up the room.
Right. Ursay.
Thank you, Ursay. I mean, y'all have a good time, man. I'm gonna drink so many, brother. Sit on me, let's get it, baby. Thank you, man. Nathaniel Ryan, we go.
There's Ron Slay with us here
today.
Called
that, man.
615-737-1045. Man taking his victory lap, and you can too. On the phone lines here. That's so great. No, I mean, him and Don Davenport have been fighting about that for months.
And you know, I was a part of the conversation on Friday when I joined them on Friday 5 to 6, and I was kind of with Don a little. He's not terrible, but I did say ever since that 28-3 comeback loss in the Super Bowl, Matt Ryan has been shell-shocked, and he needs almost things to go perfect around him. And even today, like, some of his throws were off. Like, you're an older quarterback. You should know the game management should be better. Matt Ryan is really just out there right now. And what Slay what did Slay say? That they lost Andrew Luck, and then they went and got Phillip Rivers, and then if it wasn't Phillip Rivers, then they went and got Carson Palmer, and then Carson Palmer, and then they got Carson Wentz, same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say same exact thing.
And then now, so they're playing patchwork, and Yeah, the quarterback situation ain't working for them, and the Titans defense did a great job of stifling that running game that they were been trying to bolster up. And the Titans they haven't had a lot of success stopping the run. They've slowed it down. They didn't obviously stop it the first game. They didn't really have to against Buffalo, but this was a game where I saw linebackers attacking downhill. I saw linebackers making plays in the backfield. We've seen the D-line in the backfield causing pressure in the run game, but some of those times it has allowed a running back to jump cut and hit a lane that's not filled or something like that. But those lanes were definitely filled today, so I definitely have to give props to that front seven, most especially the linebackers out there for the Tennessee Titans.
615-737-1045 is how you join the conversation today on Titans Talkback. Dylan Cole today, Keith Bulluck, leads the Titans defense with 8 tackles. Adds a tackle for loss as well on Jonathan Taylor, part of a Titans rushing defense that had been not great over the first couple of weeks, that holds Indianapolis to 38 yards rushing today. Jonathan Taylor carries the ball 20 times, averages 2.1 yards per carry, and has 42 yards. I don't know about you. I was impressed by the way Dylan Cole played today in relief of Zach Cunningham.
Yeah, for sure. Number 53, but that ain't me. Dylan Cole did his thing. Dylan Cole was very impressive, and you saw him out there last week flying around and being involved in some of the action. I think that he brings a physicality to the defense that was missing the first couple of games of the season. Obviously, it was emphasized by, the coaching staff that Indianapolis was not going to run the ball against the Titans defense. And I believe from the first snap, that defense was attacking. Like I just said, I saw linebackers in the backfield, linebackers being physical at the point of attack. Dylan Cole obviously led the attack today with leading the team in tackles with 8. But David Long Jr. definitely showed up today. He was right behind him with 7 and forcing a lot of the action and being where they needed to be when their number was called. And that made for a very, very solid team defense today.
I was impressed by the way he played. And we talked about this previously on Ramon and Will in our last conversation with you, that this Titans front gets so vertical at times in pursuit of the passer. But Jeffrey Simmons was making plays, stopping the run today. Wasn't just trying to get after Matt Ryan. It's like the defensive front was working in unison together, which has not been the case at times this season.
Yeah, well, Jeffrey Simmons is still young. A lot of the guys on the interior front are still young, so they're still learning the tricks and the nuances of the defensive line. Like, there's one thing to be able to blow the guy up in front of you and be strong and all those things, but there's also a way to be strong and have a finesse rush, too, or be able to feel the block. You don't necessarily want to finesse rush up front, but to feel the block or feel how the offensive line is coming off on you to be able to determine run, pass. There was a play today in the game. They tried to do a wham block because they used Jeff Simmons, an aggressive interior lineman that gets up the field quickly. What they'll do is entice you, open the gap up to entice you to run up the field and then wham you with the tight end. And the way that you play that is you have to be aware. And Jeffrey Simmons, I believe that was one of the first plays of the game. In that first series, the Colts tried to set him up with the wham, and the way to play the wham is you got to wham the blocker, and Jeffrey did a great job of doing that and blowing that play up, and it never came back. So it's definitely something that has been talked about as far as, understanding run situations and pass situations and staying in your run gaps and not getting too far upfield on either one of them.
615-737-1045 is the number. Kale is in Nashville, up next with us today on the phone line. What's going on, Kale?
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
We're good.
Great.
Man, first off, I just want to say that holding call on Traylon Burks was complete baloney. That was crazy. And but I need y'all to help me understand how a team can go from doing so good in the first half and then just completely crap the bed in the second. Like, it just don't make no sense to me.
Yeah, thanks, Kale. What do you think? We talked about it a little bit, but Any big differences? I mean, obviously they just weren't really moving the football, but is there one thing you can point to as the biggest reason why the Titans aren't moving the football as well in the second half?
I would think that maybe they don't adjust the game plan. They do such a great job in the first half of moving the ball. What have they scored? 3 of the last four, like in every possession.
They've scored on the first possession of every game this season.
Right. So obviously they come out with a great scripted 15. And from that, they're able to do some things in the first half. It just seems as if, they don't anticipate the adjustment from the defense. But then also, in all fairness, how do you anticipate what that adjustment is going to be? If you've had success in the first half, you're thinking, look, I don't necessarily have to adjust, but I also will say, there has to be some type of anticipation of, look, if they stop this is our alternative to this play. Or if they're not giving us the shallow crosses, then we could take the digs because that means their linebackers are jumping or their safeties are jumping. It just has to be something within, the game plan. Maybe, come out the second half with a scripted 15. I don't know. I don't know how that works offensively, but right. I know defensively, if we've done everything to stop them and they haven't had much success, and then they come out with success in the second half, we could usually pinpoint what it is and try and put that fire out right then and there.
Let's take our first break here on Titans Talk Back, and when we come back, let's talk more about this offense and specifically Ryan Tannehill today. Just 4 incompletions, 137 yards. We'll have Keith Bulluck assess the way he thought the quarterback played in today's win over the Indianapolis Colts. Plus, more of your phone calls at 615-737-1045. Tom and Bam will lead us off when we come back. It's Titans Talk Back, presented by League Company. League Company, all you need. Visit them online at leaguecompany.com. It's Tennessee Titans 24, Indianapolis Colts 17. Titans 24, Colts 17. The Titans get to 500 at 2-2 and get their first win in the AFC South in 2022. Along with Keith Bulluck, my name is Will Boling. The phone line is at 615-737-1045. And Keith, Ryan Tannehill today goes 17 of 21, 137 yards, sacked 3 times, throws 2 touchdowns, doesn't have a turnover in this game, and 2 of his 4 incompletions drops by Derrick Henry, who once again was active in the passing game, 3 catches for 33 yards for him. What'd you think about the way Ryan Tannehill played today?
I think he managed the game well. Those are he's very efficient. Those are great stats. If you look at the stat sheet, 17 for 21. He was met 125 passer rating, but I would like to see more than that from my $100 million quarterback.
Yeah.
137 yards. Let's be real. That's like high school numbers. And I said it to you, but at the end of the day, you got the win. He was efficient, no turnovers, all the things that you would want from your quarterback. But I would definitely like to see more, because if we see more, we probably blow the Colts out. This is not really a game if they're moving the ball downfield and all those things. And that's not Ryan Tannehill's not making those calls. Obviously, he's just doing what's asked of him. But I would like to see them move the ball downfield more. But you take what you get in a 24-17 win, no turnovers, and very efficient passing.
615-737-1045 is how you join the conversation today on Titans Talkback. Tom is in South Carolina, ready to chime in today. What's going on, Tom?
Hey, Will. Pleasure speaking with you. This whole South Carolina listening to the Titans thing is kind of new, and I'm coming with a technical question. Is like, so in recent seasons, I got to listen to the Titans games, audio call on 104.5. And
right.
This year, not so much. And so maybe you could give me a brief explanation of that. Otherwise, as far as the team goes, a lifetime fan. I was wearing my 1998, what was it? The Tennessee Oilers hat with the oil derrick, man. I've been here that long. So
Love
anyway, I was pleased with the win today. Always a divisional win. It's like 2 wins, and I'm pumped. But, hey, give me a little explanation on the technical thing and how I can bring the game in at an out-of-market site. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. We've gotten this question a lot, and this is a new rule this year for the National Football League with the introduction of NFL Plus. So we can only stream the game now in the state of Tennessee, I believe is what it is. And I'm sure I'll get a text from from someone at the station if I'm wrong on that. 100 miles, our producer Brett Batchelor tells us. So within 100 miles of the city, we can carry the Titans games digitally. Outside of that, the NFL with introduction of NFL Plus means that you can only get live audio out of market on their app and on their website on NFL Plus. So with the introduction of that coverage, the NFL changes the blackout restrictions outside of Nashville. So that is an answer good for everyone. I got that question actually a couple times today about why our app outside of Nashville is not carrying it. So that is a new NFL policy that we have out of our control, unfortunately. So 615-737-1045. We appreciate the call from 3 different states so far, or 4. We've had Indiana, we've had Ohio, South Carolina, and Tennessee.
Yeah, I didn't know the reach was that far, but I like it.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
How far can we go?
That's right. I think our record is 8 states. After the Monday night game, we had 8 states.
Oh, we're going to crush that today. Let's go.
615-737-1045, especially if you're helping us fill in our map of the country as we take calls from around the Middle Tennessee area and beyond. Bam is in Nashville up next, talking Titans with us here on Titans Talkback. What's going on, Bam? Bam, you got us. All right. I don't think we have Bam. See if we can reconnect with him here in just a couple of minutes. Adam in Portland will be up next now. What's going on, Adam?
Hey, what's up, fellas? So that's a good win, man. I take any divisional road win any way we could get them. And Mr. Monday Night, you know, we've had some really good games against Indy through the years. I can remember very few people jumping up on the line and snatching Peyton Manning balls out of the air. I remember you do it vividly. I always tell people, man, if you're looking to get somebody deep in the first round, if you want to say that can't be done, keep Bulluck come late in the first round. So that's favorite Titan of all time, man, by far. Today, man, I like that Ryan Stonehouse a lot. I know you're probably going to get more calls about other people, so I just wanted to highlight him. It's good to know, especially in an ugly game, that you have a guy that could crack him 60 yards, man. And I know it's kind of a question mark giving up Brett Kern what you're going to get. I know he was promising, but he's done nothing but good. I think our special teams altogether as a unit looks more buttoned up. Maybe somebody has threatened the special teams coordinator or something. That probably needed to happen. But other than that, man, I'm happy with the performance. It was a way to get back on track. 2 weeks in a row jumping out to a big lead. I'm not going to harp on the fact that we couldn't score. It's just sometimes as a Titans fan, man, we got to deal with nail-biters at the end, but I'm happy we come out.
Thank you, Adam. Calling here from Portland, Tennessee. Ryan Stonehouse is a weapon, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the call, Adam. Appreciate the love. Absolutely. You know, Brett Kern was my last remaining teammate, and it really hurt me to see him go. You know, the
Buffalo guy, another New York guy.
Yeah, the last remaining player from my era is Tom Brady. He's my draft class.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Wow.
But Stonehouse is one of those guys that obviously if you're going to get rid of someone like Brett Kern, there's a reason, and there's a reason because he is one of the top 3 punters in the NFL right now. I believe he's averaging over 50 yards a punt, and what that does is it allows the Titans to flip the field. He was huge in the second half because even though the Titans were going 3 and out on their side of the football, on their side of the 50-yard line, Stonehouse will maybe be punting from the 20 and get it to the other 20. So it allows the defense to go out there and not feel stressed or play backed up or just play regular ball and, win the field position battle.
Ryan Stonehouse was a weapon today and came into this game, you're right, averaging 57 yards per punt. And today had 4 punts for an average of 52.8 yards, a long of 57 yards. And there was a chance there in the second half for the field position battle to trend in a negative direction for the Titans. And Indianapolis Colts punter Matt Hawk did not have as good of a day. 2 punts for him for a total of 67 yards, an average of 33.5 yards per punt, one of them for 48 yards. Not great for Indianapolis. The other punt that he had, a 19-yard punt for Indy in that second half when they could have tried a very long field goal. They decided to punt it back to the Titans, and they couldn't pin the Titans deep at all. That was a major play in a game that was predicated on turnovers and defense and the way the Titans want to play. And Keith, just the way that Titans set up their kind of blue-collar mentality of playing hard defense, running the football, and playing the field position game, it's just an important part of what Mike Vrabel wants, and having a punter and having a special teams unit that can flip the field and win that phase of the game.
Yeah, and as I sit here and look at these stats, the Titans had a net of 243 total, total yards, and the Colts had 365. The Colts had 333, 57 time of possession. Titans 26. So I'm not even a stat guy. With that being said, you would think that they lost the game. So I'm trending on the side that I think it's a great win for the Titans. It shows the type of team that Mike Vrabel has against compared to the Raiders, who, shot themselves in the foot last week, compared to the Colts this week, who shot themselves in the foot. It shows that the foundation that Mike Vrabel has built, is still trending. To win this game, to even up, playing a divisional team counts as 2. I think it was a big flex for the Titans to show that, look, we're still the divisional leaders, regardless what is being said. These games have to be played. They're talking about the Colts defense. Okay, we have a defense as well. Let's see what's up. And then they talk about the Colts running game. Well, they're trying to mimic kind of what the Titans are doing, it seems like. And, obviously they weren't able to do it. And I like the matchup today that the Titans, even though the Colts may have dominated in statistical categories besides turnovers, that's really where it counts, and the scoreboard.
That's where it mattered. No doubt about it. Look, there were a lot of big names on that Indianapolis Colts defense that we just didn't really hear from today.
Yeah.
DeForest Buckner never made that massive play in the run game. Grover Stewart really had kind of the big play. You had Adengbo, the former Vanderbilt D lineman, who gets one sack. You had Kwity Paye that got another. But for the most part, I think the Titans did a good job kind of quieting those stars on defense for Indianapolis today.
Yeah, and sometimes, man, as a defensive player, you get sick of hearing what the other team has. You don't like, look, we get paid too, So,
yeah.
Danico Autry, a guy who played there, wants to show, look, you shouldn't have let me go. And then, you hear other guys, Cole, who steps up getting his opportunity to play,
right?
Brings, wakes guys up like David Long Jr., who, we've been waiting to hear his name, and he was very active today. So I think that them hearing so much about Barrett coming back and, all these different things, it definitely made the Titans defense rise up. And I hope that they take this game and build off of it, and as they go into Washington next week, because that's a good game to follow up after a game like today.
615-737-1045 is the phone number on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Doug is in Nashville, up next to talk with us. What's going on, Doug?
Hey, guys, just got a few numbers here. 1 for 7 on third down. You got a 24-3 lead, and you allow 14 consecutive points. And the really thing that I see that started the snowball was to end the first half like you did. Do you want to call that poor clock management, or is that just a bad decision on Tannehill? And we couldn't cover the tight end. And I know Dr. Dyson ain't in today, but Dr. K. Bull, Mr. Monday Night is. What do you prescribe, man? We've got to fix these little problems. But, again, room for growth. Guys are growing. The win is a double lick because, it's a division game. But what do you prescribe, Dr. Bull?
Thank you, Doug. Oh, well, yeah, we'll say Dr. Monday Night today for the next couple hours.
However it works. Kevin got the real paper. He put in the work. So, I would say for the tight end, I feel like both of those situations where I believe the gentleman's name was Cully. What was his last name, Will?
For
Ali Cox.
Yes, Mo Ali Cox.
Yeah, he was just the touchdown. I know for a fact they were crossing patterns, and one of them, especially the last one, got to keep your eyes on your coverage. It's one of those things that everyone has an assignment, and if you do your assignment, then you probably won't get the answer wrong. But it's when you try and help someone else out or don't do what you're supposed to do, they throw it to your guy, and then you're open, or you don't go over far enough in motion or whatever it may be. It's more so finding your assignment and making 100% on it. Now, obviously, it's easier said than done, but if it's in man-to-man, sometimes there can be miscommunications, especially if there's motions. But just from my recollection, yep. The tight end did a good job of getting lost in traffic, and it just seemed like that, by game plan, the Colts knew that the Titans were susceptible to crossing routes in the red zone.
Tell you what, and that has been the case, I feel like, every single time the Colts have played the Titans for like 3 generations of Colts players. Just going back to Jack Doyle and Andrew Luck carving up the Titans defense. And then, Mo Ali Cox had a big game against the Titans last year too. They add Jelani Woods to the mix. That's a guy I was concerned about covering. 6'7" rookie tight end out of Virginia. Didn't really make a big play in this game. It was Mo Ali Cox again. But ultimately, Titans were able to do enough. Doug also asking about the first downs for third down offense for the Titans. Titans in this game start 4 of 6 on third down in the first half. They're 1 of 6 on third down in the second half, but that one conversion was the Chig Okonkwo catch to salt away the game.
Yeah, I'm with them. The Titans got the ball back with a little bit more than 2 minutes left before halftime, and I liked how they were moving the ball. I was like, okay, I even said in my head, all right, they're not leaving anything on the plate. They're eating what's out there. They were going in to score, and he also asked, was that a clock management situation?
Right.
In that situation, that's a quarterback situation.
Yes.
You're an 11-year vet. You understand you have no timeouts, and you're trying to get in field goal range. If you don't have what you need right now, throw the ball away. You're already in field goal range. The sack takes you out of field goal range. It's one of those things. You go. I've only been in one huddle in the offensive huddle in the NFL, and we stopped. It was the end of the game victory formation, but I know in the defensive huddle, I'm giving all my guys situations to be prepared for. I'm telling the corner to watch out for the fade, or I'm telling somebody in the back end to watch out for something. That being said, I would have to assume the quarterback is coming to the line or to the huddle and is telling, look, I'm coming to you now. If it's not there, I'm coming to you. Right? Boom, boom.
Right.
If not, throw it away. And it just doesn't look like that was the process. It looks like, okay, patting, looking. There was no sense of urgency knowing that you're trying to get points. And that gave the Colts momentum, like the caller said, going into the second half. So I saw it the same exact way. And I guess we're all fortunate they got that one first down in the fourth quarter.
It was a good one, no doubt about it. 615-737-1045, the number today on Titans Talk Back, presented by Lee Company. We take one more phone call before we go to break and talk to Connor, who is leaving Lucas Oil Stadium today. What's going on, Connor?
Hey, guys. Look, man, we're 2-2, back to 500. We're doing good, I feel like, but being a Titans season ticket holder, and coming to the game today, I just think that, obviously we're looking better than we did 2 weeks ago against Buffalo. But my thing is, like, with the second half offense, we got to clean all that stuff up. And I thought the Titans really did a good job against the Colts today, tighten up. And who runs it? We run it. Let's go, boys. Tighten up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Connor. Appreciate the call. It's our second call from Lucas Oil Stadium today. So if you're making the trip back down I-65, coming back down this way, you got the phone number, 615-737-1045 to jump in. Coming up next, there is a stat about Jonathan Taylor's success, or I guess I should say lack of success, against the Tennessee Titans that tells you the story of this game and the story of the rushing battle the national media wants us to talk about between Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor that Henry gets to step up in today. Plus, more of your phone calls. We will start with Brian after the break. 615-737-1045. It's Titans Talk Back, presented by Lee Companies. The Titans beat the Colts 24-17. Will Boling and Keith Bulluck with you. It's Titans Talk Back presented by Lee Company. 24-17. The Titans get the job done in the AFC South and beat the Indianapolis Colts. You can join in on the conversation at 615-737-1045. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Brian in Florida, another state. State number 5 today, Keith Bulluck, of the show.
We're going for the record today.
That's right. Joins the conversation. What's going on, Brian?
Hey, what's up, guys? Just wanted to shout out to Danico for being the MVP of the game and playing like Mr. Bulluck. I thought without his effort and the way he covered for Landry's injury, that's why we won today, and hats off to him.
Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate you, Brian.
Appreciate the call. Hope you and your family doing all right down there in Florida. Of course, our thoughts with everybody in the Sunshine State through the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. Danico Autry was terrific today, and he has had some terrific games against the Indianapolis Colts, his former team.
Yeah, he was also. It's funny because I was teasing with you. Danico Autry had a David Thornton game.
Yeah,
because David Thornton was a former Colt,
yep.
And every time we played against the Colts, DT. Not that he didn't play good any other time, but against the Colts, I swear, like DT, he played on an unbelievable level. Like it was fun to watch. It was fun to be a part of. But we knew Colts game, David Thornton was gonna go to the dark side.
That's right.
But yeah, Danico, he stepped up, man. He's one of those guys that has been constantly improving while he's been on this team. Has helped the team a lot last year. Has been playing big all year. This year too. You know, had some big plays last week. In the Raiders game was being disruptive in the past game, and is building and putting games on top of each other, piling games up, and that's what you'd like to see. And you know, it might be tough come soon to keep him here because he's playing himself into being one of the better interior linemen in the AFC, if not the NFL right now.
The duo of Autry and Simmons inside gave a solid center guard triangle for the Indianapolis Colts fits today. And I was impressed, Keith, on the first sack of the game where Danico Autry gets the sack fumble on Matt Ryan. He was held by Quentin Nelson on that play.
Yeah, he was.
It did not matter. And he got to the quarterback and he made the play.
Yeah, and, you know, it's an attest to knowing the game plan. You know, there were no pass rush stunts in that, and that was just simply one-on-one, man versus man, me versus you. And, you know, he was able to make that play, didn't get the call, and that's, you know, wearing off. Jeff Simmons does that all the time, and, you know, I don't know the conversations in that defensive line room, but obviously, you know, they have a pact and they're bonded pretty solidly.
So Jonathan Taylor against the Tennessee Titans. This was his 4th game against Tennessee. He never has had a 100-yard game against King Henry and the Tennessee Titans. November of 2020, 7 carries for 12 yards. September of 2021, 10 carries for 64 yards in Nissan Stadium. Halloween last year, 16 carries for 70 yards, 4.4 yards per carry, 3 catches for 52, 1 touchdown in that game. And then today, 20 carries, 42 yards, 2.1 yards per carry, 1 catch for 1 yard on 3 targets. It was the most carries that he has ever had in a game against the Tennessee Titans. And the Titans shut him down, point blank today. Prove-it game for the Titans defense, and I think Derrick Henry proved once again that the rushing king of the NFL and of the AFC South still resides in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a total team thing. I remember when I was playing here for the 2 years with Chris Johnson, and you know, it was one game. I think he and one running back, maybe it was Maurice Jones-Drew, they just went back and forth. They both had like crazy games, and, and I think we might have lost or whatever it was. The other running back game overshadowed Chris's, and, you know, I told him that'll never happen again. You know what I'm saying? I took that personal, that we had the best running back in the league, And then our defense allowed another running back to get the headlines over him, even though he had an outstanding game. And, I think that's a little bit of the same with this Titans defense and this Titans team. They all respect King Henry, and they know it all goes through King Henry. And the defense seems to rise up when, they have an opposing opponent, especially Jonathan Taylor, within the conference. It seems like it's a personal thing. They're not going to let this guy get off or do anything that he does against the rest of the NFL because, when you watch this guy play on tape and you see his highlights, he's amazing. But I'm just glad to see that none of them are against any of the two-tone blue.
615-737-1045 is the number today if you want to jump in. Wilson is in Maine. First time all year we've had a caller from Maine.
Let's go.
Another state added to the list. What's going on, Wilson?
Well, I was outside picking up sticks and cleaning up my cabin up here on a lake in Maine.
Nice.
And but I can get the games. You were talking about the out of market thing. I got it on XM radio.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's like a 5-minute delay.
Right.
So my watch is going off. I'm seeing the Titans are ahead, and then they score 5 minutes later. So so I really got interested right near the end of the game. I went, oh geez, I
just
thought to
appreciate
throw my
the
watch away
love.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm a season ticket holder. Have been from day one in Memphis and Vanderbilt, and so yeah, I scheduled this trip because I knew we were out of town this week. So I have a little cabin that is not winterized, so I come up and close it up and cut the water off and all the
What's it look like out of your window right now? You give me, I need that view.
Okay, well,
northeast in the fall.
Yeah, it kind of looks like around Syracuse with all the nice maple trees that are orange and
leaves.
red. And yep, exactly. So very, very pretty up here. So, yeah, I also have an addiction to lobster and crab. So
there you go. You're in the right spot.
So I'll be back in Nashville tomorrow. So
bring
anyway,
some freeze-dry.
I wanted to add to your state total. So I figured Maine would probably be pretty good to
Let's
add.
go. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the call, Wilson. Appreciate it. 615-737-1045 if you want to call in from around the United States.
So I watch, I know I can relate to that delay. It's not as big as long as the delay that he's experiencing, but I watch, when I watch at home, I put the Titans broadcast on the regular television, and then I have my iPad on Red Zone, and the Red Zone is always about 30 seconds ahead of the actual broadcast on Fox or whatever we have here.
Yep.
And always got to turn my iPad away from myself.
That's right.
Before they show the Titans highlights. I'd rather catch it on the delay that I'm experiencing.
Right. No, absolutely. 615-737-1045, the number. Blake in Mobile, Alabama, adding to our list today. What's going on, Blake?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good.
Just wanted to call in and ask you guys, what do you guys think we need to do about kind of shoring up some of the issues we've had in the secondary so far? I mean, 2-2, but all four quarterbacks we've faced this year have thrown for over 300 yards against us, and we've let guys like Mac Hollins, Alec Pierce, Mo Alley Cox, not these big names that have really gone for a lot of yards against us. So what do you think we need to do? Is it just waiting to get Molden back from being on IR? Do we need to go out and make another signing? Kind of what do you guys think is the next step to kind of improving it there? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Blake.
Well, I think that they're doing the best they can right now to patch up the holes until they get some players back. I think they went out and signed what they wanted to sign, and it's a matter of working them into the system and getting them comfortable playing in the situations that they can be effective. The names that he rattled off that have had big days against the Titans, everybody gets paid. It don't matter what your name is. Any Sunday a player goes out there, they're trying to get their name called and trying to raise their value. At the end of the day, they're all commodities and they want to raise their stock. So, if it's an opportunity to go out there against somebody that just was pulled up off the couch and they have been put out there to cover me, then I'm going to go and try and have a day, vice versa. So I think Titans are in a position where they have players. They're just trying to get healed up. And they have a bye week coming up, not this week, but the following week, which should give them some time and maybe get some players and get that secondary a little healthier.
615-737-1045 if you want to jump in today on Titans Talk Back. Caleb Farley gets in a little bit more today. Has, I believe, 7 snaps I saw in the moment on the opening drive. Gives up the big play to Alec Pierce on the final possession for the Indianapolis Colts. You and I were talking about this before the show started, about Farley coming in for Mitchell and giving up that big play. What did you see on that play? The underthrown ball to Alec Pierce, who adjusts over Farley's head. What did you make of the way he played today?
The plays that he was out there, I think he did well. It was in his interviews last week. I think I saw one of his interviews, and he would say, I just need the opportunity. He needs the opportunity again. He needs the opportunity again. And my head is like, kid, you're a first-round draft pick. You're going to get every opportunity that they can give you. What are you going to do with that opportunity?
Right.
And that play specifically, it was just a bad underthrown throw by Matt Ryan, and the receiver was able to adjust to come back and make the play. Unfortunately, Caleb was playing the deep throw as he should have been. He was playing the right play, but the wide receiver saw the ball. The ball was being thrown to him, so he saw the ball, came back and made the play. Farley was able to make the tackle, so it's unfortunate for that play, but I look at that play as that's a football play. There's really nothing in the moment that he did wrong or could have done. Like I said, the ball's not being thrown to him. He's covering the person that the ball's being thrown to. Had that ball been thrown accurately and deep, it probably would have been an incomplete pass because he had the wide receiver step for step. So I don't look at that play as a negative. I don't know how he'll be graded on it.
Sure.
But I like to see that he was out there. They let him get some action, put him in situations that, he can have success in, not asking him to do too much. But I just kind of find it, it's it's a red flag when you're a first-round pick and they're bringing people in, from other teams, practice squads, and,
right.
Playing, third-rounders over you, giving everybody else a shot to play but you. He's got to take that personal, and I hope he begins to and, starts to emerge a little bit.
And I imagine, Keith, as a young first-round pick, a guy who has always been the best player in the meeting room at the college level, comes in with high expectations as a first-rounder. That's got to mentally be tough for him to adjust to after the game he had in Buffalo on Monday Night Football. This guy just got brought in on Wednesday, going into a Sunday game last week against Vegas, and is getting snaps over you as a first-round pick. Mentally, how tough is that for him to overcome and just kind of weather this storm right now?
Well, I mean, look, you're going to find out what type of player he is. If you're a dog, that's not gonna happen. Like, there would have been a problem this past week in practice because I would have been dogging everybody I was going up against. You're going to bring somebody in off the street and try and put them in front of me? Okay, I'm trying to line up against we're probably getting into fights at practice just because my competition level is raised that much, because obviously it would seem as if the coach is trying to get a rise out of me or whatever it is. I remember we had a player that I played with who was a first-round pick, Andre Wolfolk, and I bring it and I say his name because he was someone that when he first got in here, he wasn't, playing, I guess, maybe up to coach's expectations or anything like that, but he took it upon himself to, get good at what he can get great at, what he can get great at, and be good at what he can be good at. And he turned out to be a very good player for us, a very good nickel, very good player as a first-round draft pick. Now, was he, a Darrelle Revis type first round? You're not always going to have those all-pro guys, but at some point, they're drafted in the first round for a reason. You want to get them on the field. They need to contribute, and I just think it's a matter for Farley, one, to regaining the confidence if he doesn't have it right now, to get out there, compete, and show that he belongs. and two, possibly coaches finding him a position that he can have success in right now while he's trying to find himself within, the NFL.
Time for our Kroger Sacks for Cash. Today, the Titans had 3 sacks, adding $300 courtesy of Rashad Weaver, 2 from Danico Autry. Now for the season, Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee stands at $1,700, courtesy of the 3 sacks tonight. Every time the Titans sack the opposing team's quarterback, Kroger donates $100 to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan. Kroger is committed to ending hunger in our communities. When we come back, second hour begins here on Titans Talk Back at 615-737-1045. Brandon will lead us off on the phone lines after this as we continue to break down the first AFC South win of 2022. 24-17, Titans over the Colts. Titans 24, Colts 17 on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company on 104.5 The Zone. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. 1 hour down, got another hour and a half to go. We take you up to 104.5 The Zone, Westwood One coverage of Sunday Night Football tonight at 6:25. 615-737-1045 is how you join in on the conversation. Alongside former Titan Keith Bulluck, I'm Will Boling. Taking your questions as well on 104.5 The Zone TV, where you can watch on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter right here at 104.5 The Zone. Brandon in Lebanon leads us off here in our 5 p.m. hour, 615-737-1045. What's going on, Brandon? How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
We're good.
Hey.
Hey, Keith, man, thank you for staying in Nashville, man, representing the Titans, man. It's amazing that you guys are, still part of the Titans family. So kudos to you, man.
I appreciate you guys, people like you, making it a pleasure to still be here and raise my family.
That's awesome. So I want to talk about the tight ends real quick. Like, since Delaney Walker, I don't feel like we're really getting our play from the tight end coverage. And like today, Chig, he was able to score a touchdown, but I haven't seen really very much from Hooper, and I haven't seen very much from Chig this season. There was high hopes going into preseason and everything with him, and it just seems like it's not really I know they're good for blocking, but I haven't seen anything downfield or anything. So maybe you guys can just give me a little bit of info of what's going on with the tight ends.
Thank you, Brandon.
Well, I'm writing something down right here, and it's on both ends. It's tight ends and, your wideouts.
Yep.
The Titans' game plan does not involve stretching the field. For whatever reason that is, they do not stretch the field. I'm thinking about Jonnu. He used to run seam routes or 7 routes. Delaney definitely used to get downfield, run 7 routes, seam routes, post corners, routes down the field, which will make the secondary loosen up. Most especially when you run them with the tight ends, the linebackers have to respect the tight end in the pass route as well as a safety. So a tight end actually occupies 2 players, maybe 3 players' eyes, because if you start them from the home position and then you cross them over, that linebacker has to see him, that first safety sees him, and then he's crossing the field. He's drawing the attention of another safety and possibly another linebacker. So that being said, the more you equate that into your game plan offensively, it loosens the back end of the defense. And when I say back end, I'm speaking about the linebackers and secondary, and it doesn't allow them to have those free safeties feet at 10 yards. So I don't know why the Titans don't do it that often, but that was my explanation on what it does and what it means when you take shots downfield, when you run routes that include a speedy tight end that can maybe outrun a safety. Even if you don't throw them the ball, you're getting them out of the zone and maybe bringing in another wide receiver into that zone to settle in, or even if it's man, try out your athletes versus athletes. You got to allow and have confidence in your players to sometimes win the one-on-one and make plays.
I think if there was ever a game where the tight ends were most involved this season, it was definitely this one. I mean, Chig led you with 38 receiving yards today, caught all 3 of his targets, had the touchdown. Austin Hooper, 1 catch for 4 yards. Again, hasn't really been a big focal point of the offense, like you said. Austin Hooper, not the vertical threat that Delaney Walker and Jonnu Smith were in that position. And I think the vertical threat that Chig can become. That's what they expect him to be as an athletic receiving guy at that position. I want to get your thoughts on that in a minute, but specifically on Hooper, his 1 catch moved the chains on about 3rd down and 3, a 4-yard catch over the middle between a linebacker and a corner. Are you surprised that he has not been a bigger piece of the offense?
Yeah, I definitely am. This is a guy that was an all-pro before, so he understands and knows how to make plays in this league. He has made plays in this league. I think it all comes down to the offensive game plan. It's not a matter of I think. That's exactly what it comes down to. You take a guy like Robert Woods, the first 2 drives of the last 2 games, it seems that he they made a concentrated effort to get Robert Woods involved in the game, and it just seems as if in the second half, Robert Woods isn't playing anymore. So those are things that I think have to do with the game plan, and if the game plan is to get Derrick Henry going and to keep Derrick Henry going, and once he's going, we'll stick with this, then that's fine too. These are some of the questions that are being asked. I don't have the answers to. I kind of have some of the same questions, and I think it has a lot to do with, the game plan they go into each game with.
615-737-1045 is the number today if you want to jump in on Titans Talkback. Chigakonkwo, though, does get one vertical route. It was a wheel route on the near side of the field on the sideline, making a catch, and then the touchdown, too. Week 4, kind of that first stage of, all right, rookies, you've played a couple weeks, you've gone through training camp, you've gone through practice. Remember, A.J. Brown's breakout game down in Atlanta was a week 4 game. It seemed like a next step today for Chigakonkwo, an important part of his development. I would expect to see more of him moving forward after kind of the performance that he had today.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to bring your rookies along at some point. You want to feature them. You want to give them the opportunity to use the athleticism and show all the attributes that you drafted them for. And like you said, today, Chig got his opportunity to do those things. Next week, we'll just have to wait to see if he's more involved in that game plan and maybe being used more as a vertical threat on some mismatches when he's lined up against some linebackers.
615-737-1045. Chris in Lewisburg is up next this afternoon. What's going on, Chris?
Hey, yeah, it doesn't feel like it, but that was a big win today, early in the season, and we're getting the Jekyll and Hyde thing is getting kind of old, but you got to look at it from the Colts standpoint. As a Titans fan, we were so used to getting on the losing end with Manning and Luck, and so the last couple of years we've had the upper hand, and Irsay has been upset. He called for the fans to be the 12th man this week, and Frank Reich's got to be on the hot seat.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I agree. I think Frank Reich's seat's getting pretty warm.
Yeah, for sure. I think Chris had a great point. You went through the Manning decade, and then the Andrew Luck decade, and now Titans have been having the upper hand. Irsay is used to having the upper hand with those two great quarterbacks, and now he's having to find other ways that aren't so successful. I feel like this last attempt was kind of to try and mimic kind of what Vrabel has put and John Robinson have put together here with the power run game and, a tough, hard-nosed defense. And, they have Jonathan Taylor, who's, arguably one of the better backs in the league.
Sure.
But one thing about this league is you have to prove yourself every year, and he has yet to do that this year. So he's just going off reputation right now. Defense, the defense is playing well, but not well enough to win. Obviously, the Titans defense was resilient enough and made the plays that needed to be made in order to get the win. So, Frank Reich has to figure it out because ain't too many people coming in that building. They can bring Cato June in to coach linebackers and Reggie Wayne to coach wide receivers, but they're not touching that field. So you need to figure it out.
It is just funny from the Titans' perspective, like the videos on social media from Jim Irsay and the apology video after they lose in Jacksonville at the end of last season, and the tweets this week of it's going to be a blue out and we're going to open the roof and we just need you guys today. And Jim Irsay's tweeting out like personnel news this morning of like Shaq Leonard's going to play and, we just need you. Like I tweeted during the game, I said, I'll give next month's paycheck to just have a live camera on Jim Irsay watching this game.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure he used to have a good time when the Colts were on top. I'm sure he had a lot of billionaire friends in those boxes on Sundays and stuff, and it's looking bleak in Indianapolis these days. Not too many people are trying to get in that box, Jimmy. So, he's pulling out all the stops to kind of keep the fans involved and keep people coming to that stadium, because I don't know if anyone's, spent some time in Indianapolis. There's really not. I think it's a nice city, but it's not too much to do. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Outside of sports when it's going on, and the Colts and the Pacers are the biggest thing there. So
you got a combine, you've got good steak and a good shrimp cocktail down there at St. Elmo's.
Yeah, we went there for
and that's Indianapolis.
I was there for a week for volleyball nationals. So
yeah,
it's the longest time I spent there.
I did that trip last year for the game, and then did it again for the combine last year. I can just tell you, it's always like 45 and windy.
It's a fact.
And that's about it.
And a little gloomy.
It is always windy, and I don't think the sun has come out in Indianapolis since Andrew Luck retired. So that's that. There's your Indianapolis slander for the show today on Titans Talk Back. 615-737-1045, where Alec in Mount Juliet is up next on the show. What's going on, Alec?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
We're good.
I want to talk about the second half execution for a second. This is the second week in a row where it seems like we kind of fell flat in the second half. Do you guys think that's more of, in the players' heads at this point, or do you think it's the coaches not making second half adjustments? I just want to get your thoughts on what you think it was. I'll shut up and listen.
Thanks, Alec.
I don't think it's the players getting in their heads. I honestly think that, because as a player, you're aware that, okay, we came out flat last week in the second half. Let's come out, I really honestly think, and I said it earlier, I think that the opposing team has done a great job of making halftime adjustments. The last couple of weeks, the Titans haven't really had much to adjust to because they've been on top. So now if the team is coming out in the second half with a different game plan offensively and defensively, now you're forced to have to adjust on the fly. And that adjustment might be adjusting to one play that they've been running, or the defense making a stop, or the offense converting a third down conversion, because at that point you're already in the game and all your game planning has been done. I also said to Will earlier, I don't necessarily know what is said or takes place in offensive huddles or at offensive meetings at halftime, because obviously I was in my own meetings, but we had our certain alerts and knew that if they tried, this pass and it didn't work, they might come back to it. So it's a little watch out for this. But I don't know how much you can do that offensively, because the offense really dictates the action.
Right. The script has been good. Titans have scored touchdowns on each of its 4 opening drives to start the season this year. It seems like the plan B, I don't know what the plan B is for the Titans, because if Derrick Henry isn't running effectively and setting up the play-action passing game, defenses want Ryan Tannehill to just sit back there and try to pick them apart, and they're having success.
Yeah, and that's why I don't, I have just the same, I'm dumbfounded as well. Like, if they want you to take shots, why do we not take those shots? Like, I'm wondering what happened to Westbrook Akine. Is he hurt? Was he active today?
He played?
Right. Why don't, Robert Woods, that's what I'm saying. So why aren't we doing those things? And I don't have those answers. It definitely comes down to play calling, and they just might be comfortable how the first half game plan went, that they didn't have to make adjustments in the second half. But I will say, I watched the games very objectively, but after they didn't get the field goal going into halftime and the way they came out to start the half, the second half, it was kind of almost reminiscent of last week, and hearing all that what the fans say about them starting slow, you couldn't help but to pay attention to it.
It feels like it's almost something that it's in their own heads at this point. Like this offense plays differently. They're not coming out as aggressively. I thought in this game, just from my perspective, obviously I didn't play in this league, but it just seemed like they were losing more individual matchups in the second half. I mean, they're just getting beat. I mean, Adengbo is getting in the backfield. Kwity Paye gets a sack. I mean, that's a good team that makes a lot of money on the defensive side of the football, and that's a really good front four that it was always going to be tough to replicate what you did in the first half against Kwity Paye and Yannick Ngakoue and DeForest Buckner, who for the most part didn't make a lot of big plays.
Yeah, and to what you're saying, the other team gets paid too, and they get, they have to make adjustments as well. So, there's definitely going to be an adjustment made when, the opposing running back has 100 yards in the first half, and you're supposed to be known as a defense that stops the run. So whatever they were doing in the first half obviously wasn't working. Actually, the Titans were able to get the edge. Derrick Henry starts downhill, and he likes to bounce it outside, and he was able to do that on a few of those runs, even in the first half. So in the second half, you saw a concentrated effort of those corners of the Indianapolis Colts, making sure that they got upfield and got Derrick Henry before he can get that corner outside. And, like you say, the Colts just turned it up a little bit. Individually, the Colts just turned it up. They came out with a little more, and the Titans were able to answer the call regardless. It's a boxing match, and they took their best punch and got the win and got up out of there. I know people would like to see it done in a different manner, a different fashion, blowouts, but there aren't too many blowouts in the NFL.
No, they're not. Definitely not. 615-737-1045. The number. Carlos in Antioch up next today on the show. What's going on, Carlos?
Hi.
What's up, Carlos?
How are you?
I'm great. I'm just really calling for two reasons. One, to thank your team for the knowledge, the insight. I think my Bravos should be picking your brains about why some plays are not made. But in addition to thanking you for all the info, quick, non-technical, a little bit of a peculiar question. You guys are followed internationally. I'm from Honduras. My wife is from Colombia. I have traveled to 13 countries, and Brazil, Venezuela, Argentina, and there's people following you guys, listening. So I was just curious if you guys know how much you're followed internationally.
Yeah, thanks, Carlos. What you were there in London, weren't you, for the London game?
Yeah, I was. I've been to London, to London games. The London games are pretty cool because every single team is represented. I had beers with fans from Germany, Japan. Like the NFL is followed all over, but it's pretty funny. Pre-COVID, my wife and I used to travel a lot. We go to different countries and stuff, and I would always get recognized, like regardless where we are, somehow, some way. So that's one of our little running jokes. Now, even with my kids, I'm like, no matter where we go, somebody's gonna know me. Might be small, but
I'll tell you what, it's true. It is definitely true. I was impressed just today. I was actually watching the London game this morning too, just recognizing it was full, and you could see like 10 different NFL jerseys represented in one shot.
Yeah, what I would say about the London experience, like it doesn't have to be your team. Like if you have the opportunity to go over when the NFL is there, it's a pretty awesome experience. London does. They open up pretty much their whole city for the NFL. So the NFL probably has a website. You can check all the different things that are going on. But the actual game itself is pretty cool because what you said, it's just people over there in Europe, they're looking at it like the NFL. It might not be their team this time, but they're going to an NFL contest, as they would say, and they don't really understand everything about it, but they enjoy it. It's always packed, and you see a jersey from every single team, any era. It's pretty amazing, pretty cool experience.
It certainly is, and I believe it's next year. It'll be the Titans' turn again.
Oh, nice.
For London. So I guess we should.
Y'all got to get me on that trip, baby. What's up?
Hey, you
I'm
and me
big
both.
in London.
Come on. You and me both. 615-737-1045. The number. Ali up next on the phone lines on Titans Talk Back. What's going on, Ali?
What up, Will?
How are we doing?
Hey, KB, Mr. Monday Night. I think you got a bigger celebrity next to you than yourself.
Yeah, Will's the man.
No, easy.
Last time I heard, Will was the man on these streets.
He's a Nashville legend.
That's a fact.
Why is this fan base so upset? Bro, this is the NFL. A win is not going to be easy. They really expect other teams not make any adjustments to the Titans. Like, bro, it's a win. They're in a 2-game winning streak. A big group of us are headed to D.C. on Friday, and it'll be a 3-game winning streak on Sunday when they beat the Commanders, the Redskins, whatever they're called. But this fan base needs to chill. A win is a win. The Titans are 2-2, about to be on a 5-game winning streak, going into KC. They'll be fine. Relax.
Like it.
Thank you, Ali. Appreciate the call. It's my guy right there.
Nah, I like
I did
that.
not pay him to say that, by the way, that I was a Nashville legend.
Look, born and raised here. Now you're rocking the airwaves. They're trying to get you married off.
We're married off. Lord.
I keep my ear to the street. I know it's popping. But no, to what Ali is saying, man, like, too many fans get caught up in the week-to-week, the day-to-day, and don't enjoy the Sunday for what it is. Today is 1/17 of the journey. So it would be what, 4th game? So 4/17 of this journey of the NFL season is done. Like, there's so many different chapters to it. You're going to be on a crazy emotional roller coaster all year. So, lock in and appreciate the building process, because you've seen this before. You can't really start keeping tracks of wins and losses. Obviously, you want to get as many wins as you can, but as long as you're about 500 around Thanksgiving, you're still in it, and that's when it starts to get exciting. So I don't care if you're playing 500 ball, whatever you're doing. The key for the Titans is to keep getting better, win in the division, and when it comes January, see where you're at, and more than likely they'll be atop of the AFC South, and we won't even remember September or October. It's all about what you do in November. December.
Remember
and January.
November. That's right. So I guess college football, they remember.
Well, yeah,
November.
that's what my coach used to say. My college coach, he said they never remember September and October. They only remember December. Yeah. Because that's when you go to the bowl games and all that stuff.
It's true. No doubt about it. 615-737-1045 if you want to jump in on the conversation. Facility managers need a reliable partner for their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical needs. They trust Lee Company's 24/7 service and their team of experts. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. It's Titans Talk Back, presented by Lee Company. Visit them online, like we said, at leecompany.com. When we come back, I want to talk more about this Titans offense and give you the injury update coming out of this game of what we know about Treylon Burks and what we know about Jonathan Taylor, who is feared to have suffered an injury, and a big one for the Indianapolis Colts. We'll address that breaking news coming out of Indy after a 24-17 Titans win. Plus, more of your phone calls at 615-737-1045. Derek and JC on deck when we come back. It's Titans Talk Back on 1045 The Zone. Live with you up until Sunday Night Football. It's Titans Talk Back, presented by Lee Company on 104.5 The Zone. Will Boling and Keith Bulluck and you at 615-737-1045 as the Tennessee Titans get a 24-17 win over the Indianapolis Colts. News out of the Colts locker room today, Keith, from Zach Kiefer, who writes today on Twitter covering the Colts for The Athletic, saying the Colts fear it could be a high ankle sprain for Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, was asked about his availability for Thursday Night Football for the Colts in Denver this week. Said, I'm not sure yet. We'll see how things happen tomorrow morning.
Well, that means no.
I would say so.
If he didn't come back in the second half of this game and it was a tight game, and it was after he made a mistake, fumble.
After the fumble, yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. It's in his head. That's a psychological thing for a player. Running back, you fumble, and your toes, like I had turf toe with the Giants, and it was one of those injuries that it just lingers. And then now to say that he has a high ankle sprain, and I think they said earlier this week it was because of a toe, it just means that the injuries are piling up. So I doubt that we'll see him on Thursday.
I would agree with that. And things can trend in a negative direction really quickly for the Colts if they don't have Jonathan Taylor. Because the Colts didn't have Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce against the Jaguars. They got shut out by Jacksonville in that game. And it's similarly to the way the Titans are not the Titans without Derrick Henry. The play-action passing game, the protection up front, defenses can pin their ears back or they can blitz Matt Ryan and make him beat them without the threat of Jonathan Taylor. Because even when the Colts were down in this game, they kept handing it off to Taylor. They were down by 20 points. That they're handing it off on second down and 8 even to Jonathan Taylor, trying to use him as their kind of get out of jail free card today. And I wonder what percentage of health he really was today in that game.
Yeah, I saw that. I think he looked very healthy. He looked really healthy. He had some runs, although they weren't any big runs, but he had some runs that allowed me to see why they keep giving him the ball, because he's just a missed tackle away from taking it however far he needs to take it and not being caught. Like I said, I don't think it was until that fumble did he show any signs of injury or anything. So, that, like I said, that just was, to me, like a psychological thing for him. He fumbles and then he doesn't go back in the game. And, to what you're saying, how healthy was he going in? I thought he looked very healthy. He didn't even look like he took a big hit on that fumble. I just think that at that point he just shut her down.
That's the Titans way, and I've seen them practice. You've seen the way that Mike Vrabel and that coaching staff teaches finding where the football is and punching the football out in plays in moments like that. It is such a big point of emphasis of what Shane Bowen and Mike Vrabel want this defense to be, and it shows up in a big moment. I mean, Titans winning the turnover margin today with just a couple of really, really big fumbles in this football game. 3 fumbles, 2 of them lost by the Indianapolis Colts. It just seemed like to me, Keith, there are a lot of things that happen in this game that you would typically say you don't win a game if ... and the Titans still found a way to win. And the Colts were on the other side. What I mean by that is Titans had 28 total yards in the second half. If Titans lose that game, we're sitting here saying, you just don't really win a game with 28 second half yards. But you also, from the Colts perspective, you don't win a game losing the turnover margin 2-0. So it was kind of a tendency-breaking game, if that makes sense, in a couple of different directions. And I think the turnover margin is the stat of this game for the Titans as far as why they won.
Yeah, absolutely. You got Frank Reich, who's in there telling his guys that we were good enough to win this game. We did everything in our power to lose this game. But in all realness and actuality, they were not good enough to win this game because they turned the ball over multiple times in bad situations. Danigo Audrey, who got the interception? Tier Tart had a he deflected the pass and had the wherewithal to find the ball within the air and get the interception. So
great play.
It's one of those games, like I say, Frank Reich is going to be saying we did everything in our power. No, but the Titans actually were the better team today.
Sure.
Whether the fan base of the Titans liked the way they won or not, they were the better team. And regardless how many yards the Colts had, the Titans defensively were able to make stops when they needed to, create turnovers when they needed to, and the offense were able to put up enough points early in the first half, although they didn't have a good second half, make a conversion that they needed to make in order to seal the game. And it's ultimately it's a complete team game, and that's how the Titans won today.
615-737-1045, the number if you want to jump in. Derek in Smyrna is up next on the phone lines. What's going on, Derek?
Hey, how y'all doing? Can you hear me pretty good?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, it's funny you say we only had 28 yards because I haven't went out and looked at any stats or anything, but I was about to say we didn't look terrible as other games in the second half. But when you say 28 yards, it just changed the whole narrative almost. But I wanted to just say that to fans and say, we did look good. If they scripting it, they scripted it well. Whoever scripted it, I don't even want to ask or question. Just keep doing it and just build on this. And the last caller you had, maybe like 2 calls ago, they said that we're going on a 5-win streak. I silently guessed that to myself in my home, but since he said it, I think I'm safe to say it myself. I think they got something good, and if they build on it right, and besides Traylon Burks and everybody else getting hurt, I think we do have something good. And I'm gonna hang up and listen.
Yeah, thanks, Derek.
Yeah, just put it out there. Like I say, as a fan, that's all you can do. You go into each weekend positive, especially coming off of a win. Now the Titans have a 2-game winning streak. You're going up against a team like the Commanders in Washington, who has their own struggles. So when you can get the wins against the teams that, might not be as strong, that's when you want to see your team play, flawless football. Because when you're going to come against the other juggernauts or whoever is supposed to be the top of the AFC or in the NFL, that's when I think the fan base is more happy to be like, we got away with that one. You'll take a game like today against the Chiefs or someone like that, but just because it's the Colts, you expect more. And I just think, kind of like Ali said, this is the NFL, and any given Sunday, a team's going to show up. There's more parity in professional sports than there is college, that's for sure.
It's the way the Titans locker room is operated and built by Mike Vrabel. Now, whether or not it should be a grinded out blue collar mentality in this league of running the football first, that's a separate conversation probably for the offseason. The point of the fact of the matter is that's who this team is. Kevin Byard was on our show earlier this week on Ramon and Will from 6 to 10 and just said, look, guys, Mike Vrabel has built this team not to be super aggressive and blow teams out and, try to be flashy. Like, they're just a blue-collar, grinded-out locker room. Like, I don't think that's up for debate of whether that should be the case at this point. It just is who this team is, and it's not going to change. So days like today, it's good. Days like against the New York Giants, who won again today, by the way. So I can't say too many bad things about them because they're 3-1 right now somehow. But days like the Jets and Texans last year, it's not good. But days like today, it's a positive for this team, and you got to kind of take it as it comes that you've beaten your division rival 4 straight times, and you're in the driver's seat in the division again, controlling your own destiny a quarter of the way through the season because of this kind of mentality.
Yeah, and I think that's how the focus kind of needs to shift, and just kind of go about the season for the fan. It's one of those situations that, okay, you get the opportunity to play against these teams that you see on national television week in and week out. And then when you go against them, the Titans go against them, you have these certain expectations. The expectation should be to get the win, figure out what we did wrong, kind of like this game and last game, and make those adjustments. And then as a fan, when you watch the next game, did they fix this? Did they fix that? Instead of just making a new list every week, kind of put an objective to it. Let's see if they correct the things that you called in about or that you had problems with. And obviously next week we're going to see, okay, we know how you're going to come out in the first half, your first drive. We know what you're going to do. I think we're all looking to see what the Titans are going to do next week in the second half when they come out to start the game.
Let's go to JC in Hendersonville next up with the phone lines, or you can join us at 615-737-1045. What's going on, JC?
Not much, just enjoying the win.
Glad to hear it.
Good.
This is a question directed for Keith, basically. I'm happy about the win today and everything else. But Keith, you know as well as I know that this team is kind of up and down, so to speak. We don't close out the second half well. What do you think that we need to do to get better? And I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks, JC.
Well, I think that
It's been the question of the day.
Yeah, I think that the Titans they had a great first half, and they had everything. They had the momentum and everything going in to the second half. Like I say, they got the ball before the 2-minute mark. They were making a drive. They were going to complete the second half with a field goal, possibly, if possible, some type of score.
Right.
But that sack on third down really, diminished any hopes of scoring. And I said it earlier, I honestly believe that's not a clock management. That's an awareness thing from the quarterback, because you know that there's only about 16 seconds left. It's third down. You need a handful. You're already in field goal range, so you're going to either try and get the first down, allow your receiver to get out of bounds, or you're taking a shot to the end zone, which the Titans, we know they're not doing. But nonetheless, you want to leave yourself at least 6 seconds or so in order to get the field goal team on the field. And in the 11th year, that you can't take a sack in that position.
That was one of the lowlights of the day for the Titans. And if they ended up losing that game by a last minute field goal or in overtime, that would be the play we'd be talking about a lot more in this show for sure.
Yeah, and then the question that's been asked: what do we need to do to get better? It's great that you asked this question after a win. You know what I mean? It's always great to ask the question after a win, because I just put myself back in the position when I was a player. Losses magnify every mistake that you've made. It's not until you watch the film that you realize it wasn't as bad, as you thought it was. So on wins, you're not even worried about the mistakes that you made because you won, and then you get back in the film room and you get back to work again. But going back to work that Tuesday, Wednesday after a win is much better morale around the building, and it's something to build on, especially starting off 0-2. You got back to 2-2. And you're moving forward. Now you have an opponent, like I say, has their own struggles, and you kind of get this train on track, and you start to define yourself and continue to build out your identity, because the Titans aren't the same team as they were last year. They're still trying to find their identity. They're trying to find people within the passing game that's going to help, people in the secondary that's going to help. The O-line is still trying to shore up. They're playing well, but they're still trying to shore up. And Derrick Henry had his 100-yard game. There's 2 weeks in a row he's had over 100 total yards. So Game 5, let's see what Game 5 brings. But the key things for the Titans this week is to go back to work, make corrections, and emphasize drive after the halftime. First drive after halftime. What are we going to do with our first drive after halftime?
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in here on Titans Talk Back, presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. When we come back, more of your phone calls, plus more reaction to the win for the Titans over the Colts, 24-17 today in Indianapolis. We'll take a look at the stats between half number 1 and half number 2 and continue to talk about this, because the Titans have scored 75 points in 4 first halves this season. The second halves, the stat is certainly not quite as good. We'll give you that exact number coming up next. It's Titans Talk Back, 104.5 The Zone. Titans Talk Back presented by League Company on 104.5 The Zone. Taking your phone calls at 615-737-1045. He's Keith Bulluck. I'm Will Boling with you here for another 40 minutes, taking you up to coverage on Westwood One of Sunday Night Football here on The Zone. Titans getting the win 24-17 over the Indianapolis Colts. And this season in first halves, they have scored 75 points. Now in 11 straight second half quarters, Keith Bulluck, the Titans have not scored a point ever since they scored a third quarter touchdown against the New York Giants in week 1.
That's tough sledding. That's tough sledding. That's a defense.
That is a hard way to live in the NFL and be 500.
Hey, at least you can say you're 500.
Yeah.
They're 500, and then they just got to build, man. At this point, after every game, you know, you either enjoy it or you sulk, whatever you do, but you got to go back to work. You go back to the drawing board and you got to fix it, and it's so cliche, but you hear coaches say it every week after, most especially after a lot. We just got to go back to work.
That's right.
Just got to go back to work, and that's all you can do. Because, you know, as a professional athlete, that's your job. I understand from a fan standpoint, you tell me every week you're going back to work, and then I see the finished product, and it looks like this. This is what you're giving me. But I'm not saying that's the case right here with the Titans, but 2-0 is 2. I mean, 2-2 is 2-2.
No doubt. We mentioned earlier on in the show, by the way, the injury update for Jonathan Taylor we gave you, but for Treylon Burks, after the game today, seen leaving the locker room in crutches with a boot on his foot. That was called it was called a foot injury in the game, and that he was out, would not return after he went out of the game. So a little bit of a concern there for Burks, a little banged up just through the preseason, missing a little bit of practice, and now appearing to have what the Titans hope is not a serious foot injury, but is going to have to work through something else.
Yeah, and you hate to see that, because I don't feel like they have really, you know, done a good job to get him going, you know, to kind of get him the ball in position where, you know, he can necessarily make plays. You know, we've seen him on crossing routes. He has a handful of catches on some crossing routes, but as a first-round pick, you definitely like to see, you know, what made him stand out and dynamic for John Robinson to select him. And, you know, anytime you get injury, most especially as a rookie, when you're trying to figure out the league and figure out where you belong on a team, it doesn't help.
You felt like you were kind of getting to the point where he could take that next step, too. We talked about that with Chikakonkwo being a bigger piece of the offense today. I think you could say the same about Treylon Burks. He'd been gaining momentum, kind of stacking healthy days of practice and of games. So really, honestly, just an unfortunate time for him to go down, and hope he's all right and can go next week against the Washington Commanders. 615-737-1045, the number. Lucas is in Brentwood today chiming in. What's going on, Lucas?
Hey, do you think Treylon Burks should be involved in the passing game a little bit more with Ryan Tannehill and Robert Woods?
Thank you for that question, Lucas.
It's a great question, Lucas. I absolutely think he should be included more because I think that, and the reason I think that is, one, you drafted him in the first round to replace A.J. Brown, who was very productive and very effective in the passing game the years that he was here. Same reason you brought Robert Woods here, you know, to get him more involved in the passing game. And today they only threw him the ball 4 times, and he caught all 4 targets for 30 yards and a touchdown. So I feel a vet like that, Robert Woods, you can go at him 10 times a game. I think after coming off the ACL injury, he's showing that he can handle more of a workload. But yeah, to what you asked, Lucas, Treylon Burks specifically, they drafted him here to be a number 1 wide receiver at some point. It's unfortunate that he got hurt today. He hurt his foot, but I think as soon as he's able to get back on the field, they should try and get him more targets. They targeted him today 3 times, and you would like to see that 3 go to 7 or even 8 because, look, that's what you brought him here to do.
That's right. Lucas, our youngest caller of the day, did a good job. That's a good question.
Great question.
Absolutely. Well, I've talked to Kevin Dyson about this the past couple of weeks and asked him, like, do you want to see Treylon Burks schemed more for? Meaning, do you want to see creative ways? Like, the comparison has been Deebo Samuel and A.J. Brown for him coming out of Arkansas. Haven't really seen him take that step of, yeah, you're going to play within the function of this offense, but you're just kind of another receiver, right? At what point does he become the guy to say, we're forcing you the football, we're getting you 5, 6, 7 touches a game? And it felt like this was a week where that could have been on the table, and then he gets banged up, which, I mean, his fault, but it's unfortunate timing for him right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you see receivers like a Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, or, you know, these guys that come in, even the kid out of that's in Atlanta, the Drake London. Yeah, you know, they
Top
get
receiver pick this past year.
So they're getting involved in these offensive game plans because they were brought to their team to be a weapon. You have to give the quarterback an opportunity to get out there and use his weapon. So I'm sure, you know, Ryan Tannehill has seen Treylon Burks open up in practice and seen all the things that he can do in practice. And now, as fans are anxious, unfortunately, like you said, he got hurt. You would like to see them, you know, just throw the ball a little bit more. You know, Ryan averaged 6.5 yards a throw. Like I said earlier, he was efficient.
Yep.
He threw it for 137 yards. Regardless, they got the win. But I would like to see more from the pass game because they have capable wide receivers. You just have to give them the opportunity.
615-737-1045, the number. Jeff in Macon County is up next. Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, I'm sure like everybody else is, why the Titans are red hot in the first half and, you know, pretty much suck in the second half. Is it possible that the other teams are just at halftime are figuring out what the Titans are doing, are making the necessary adjustments both offensively and defensively, and during the second half, the Titans coaching staff aren't making their necessary adjustments to turn things back around? I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a common theme, and I think if you just break down the Titans season so far, you know, they've had 3 games that they were in. Discount the Buffalo game. We saw how that went. We know how that went. But the Giants game, they were up, and the Giants had a better second half. They lost that game. The Giants were able to come back and win that game. So, you know, when you get to the Raiders game last week and then fast forward to this week, this game, yeah, they got off to fast starts and they sputtered at the end, but they were able to make plays down the stretch to win the game that they didn't win in game 1. So these are games, these last two games are similar, yes, to game 1, to where, you know, they had their second half woes and the other team was able to get their game plan going and get some things going and get on the scoreboard. But I also think that especially this game, as well as the last game, the Titans were already up. So I don't necessarily know what they were adjusting to on either side of the ball, but I do feel and I do know that you have to be prepared for, you know, the other team to make corrections. And however well you played in the first half, there were definitely things that the opposing team tried offensively or defensively that didn't work, but may have had a chance if, you know, one thing happened. And they're always coming back to those plays that they had confidence in that didn't work initially, but they saw can work later in the game. And I think that's what's been happening to the Titans in the last 2 weeks.
Offensively, teams are more apt to stop Derrick Henry and to slow him down and stack the box. Defensively, it's the explosive plays, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference between this team in first halves and second halves. Mac Hollins had the explosive play on 4th and 15 last week against the Raiders. This week, it's Alec Pierce with a 44-yard catch from Matt Ryan. You have the Mo Alley Cox 34-yard catch. Jelani Woods has a 33-yard catch in this game. Titans didn't give up the big run, but they gave up a lot more chunk plays through the air in the second half, and that is definitely the difference. I think there's a lot of talk about, the offense is not making plays. The offense is sputtering in the second half. I think defensively there's some things you got to fix in giving up the explosive plays. I think both units have got to be more complementary to the other. Defense has got to pick up the offense in those moments.
Yeah, well, look, that goes. You got to tip your hats to the Colts because those are their halftime adjustments. You saw the first half; they were trying to, give it to Jonathan Taylor, force the run. They saw that the Titans weren't going to allow them to run the ball. So what did they do in the second half? They came out in the second half with the play action, moved the ball down the field that allowed it to get them big chunks of yardage because obviously the secondary and the linebackers are thinking Jonathan Taylor, run the ball, stop the run. They were very conscious in stopping the run. So that gave the Colts coaching staff the opportunity to realize that first half defensive game plan from the Titans and then, open up their offense a little bit and move the ball downfield and see the things that would work in the pass game that the Titans were giving up to stop the run game, in order to stop the run game.
When we come back, we've got one more segment of Titans Talk Back presented by League Company. We take you all the way up to pregame coverage via Westwood One for Sunday Night Football tonight here, 104.5 The Zone, coming up at 6:30. More of your phone calls at 615-737-1045. We close the book on the Titans' touchdown win over the Indianapolis Colts, and we look ahead to the Washington Commanders, who are also in action today, coming up in week number 5. All that and more coming up on Titans Talk Back, presented by League Company on 104.5 The Zone. Titans Talk Back presented by Lee Company on 104.5 The Zone as we take more of your phone calls reacting to a 24-17 win for the Titans over the Colts. 615-737-1045, the number, alongside former Titan Keith Bulluck filling in for us today. I'm Will Boling. We go back to the phones where, Keith, we got another state represented.
Let's do it. What number is
the
it?
state of Virginia is represented. State number 8 today, coming from Virginia, is Eddie, talking about the Titans defense. What's going on, Eddie?
Hey, guys. How y'all doing today?
We're great.
Right.
Hey, I'm kind of following up on your last point before the break, Keith, talking about how our defense was really geared towards stopping JT today, right? But if we understand that we're selling out for the run, why are we playing off coverage, particularly when we have man-to-man corners, right? McCreary, Farley, Fulton all made their names in college as man-to-man press corners, but we consistently are playing them back, playing them off coverage. And we also have really good safeties that can kind of cover up any issues if they do get beat over the top. I would like to just kind of hear y'all opinion on that.
Thank you, Eddie. What do you think?
Well, that's a really good question. And I think it really comes down to how comfortable the individual is, because the question he asked is, why are they playing so far off in man-to-man if they are man-to-man corners and it came out of college in man-to-man corners?
Right.
So then my answer really is that was college. You know, everybody that they line up against in the NFL is good. Everybody. We saw that last week with the guy from the Raiders. You know, you see anybody that you on offense, usually when they put somebody in there, they're usually pro material. So I think that these corners that we have, they're younger guys, and they're not going up against rookies. They're not going up against second-year guys, and if they are, they're very savvy second-year guys. Michael Pittman Jr. is a very good, very savvy young wide receiver, and, you know, I feel like the corners did well against him today. I just think it comes down to confidence when you see a guy playing 6-7 yards off and they're in a man-to-man position, because at the end of the day, think about basketball. If you have someone man-to-man, you're not going to play them 2-3 feet off. And if you do, that's because you don't want to get crossed over, or you're scared that they're quicker than you or they're going to beat you to the basket. So you're going to give them the jump shot. So in football, I guess it's like, you know, you're going to give them space because you don't want to get beat deep, you know. But I do believe on 3rd and 7, you definitely, if you're going to press, you know what I mean? If you're going to, has to be some type of technique where you're just not giving up the 6 or 7 yard comeback. I'm not saying that the Titans corners are doing that, but you leave yourself susceptible for those type routes when you do play off and you give receivers that much space in a man-to-man situation.
Titans Talk Back presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Or you can join us at 615-737-1045. Talking about the coverages, Keith, I will give the Titans defense credit because they have now for 2 straight weeks taken away a team's number 1 wide receiver. Devontae Adams against this team last weekend had 10 targets, 5 catches for 36 yards and a touchdown. And today, Michael Pittman had 6 targets, 3 catches for 31 yards and a long of 14. Didn't let him beat him.
Yeah, and obviously that's part of the game plan. You know, it's you got to give a team a one-way go. You know, and that means, look, if they have a boss wide receiver, we're gonna take him out. If it's the running game they're trying to establish, we're gonna take that out. And I think that they did a good job on first down, stopping the run, putting the Colts in 2nd and long, and then making them have to make a play early in the game. And you know, they kind of took away the confidence of, you could see Matt Ryan not really looking towards you know, Michael Pittman Jr. as often as he does, and going to other wide receivers that, you know, you wouldn't think and that were getting open, like a Pierce who made a play towards the end of the game. But you'll take that. I'll take that over Michael Pittman Jr. having a big day. And I think that these young Titan corners are doing a great job of answering the challenges that they are put in front of them.
One impressive stat courtesy of Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com today. The Titans have won 9 straight divisional road games. Second longest such winning streak in franchise history, and the second longest active streak of its kind in the NFL right now. The Kansas City Chiefs lead the way with 13 straight road divisional wins. That's an impressive stat, winning 9 straight road games within your division, because as you know, Keith, weird things happen within the division where you may not be as good as the team on the other side of the ball, but you see them so often that it's hard to replicate that kind of success week in and week out against the 3 teams that see it twice every year.
Yeah, that's why you got to stack them up, and that's why I say the season's a journey. You know, as long as you win the games that count as 2, those are the ones that's in your division. Really, the NFC games really don't count when it comes to playoff standings. And then the AFC games count as 1. You know, you want to definitely win at home as well. So to say that against your division, it doesn't matter pretty much where you play them, you have a pretty good shot to win. That's great. And that's an attest to the mentality that the coach sets beforehand the week of that game.
615-737-1045. The number. Susie in Chattanooga is up next on the phone lines. What's going on, Susie?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Susie.
We're good.
Great.
I just want to say, first of all, I want to say it's an honor and a privilege to be able to speak to Mr. Monday Night. You're my all-time favorite. Love you.
Appreciate you. Appreciate it.
And then second of all, I'd like to say great game, Mr. Tart. I had to even look and see who he was. I'd never heard of him. He did awesome. Loved it. Then I got King D was out there doing his thing. No, he didn't, but he got over 100, and he's 7,000 yards now. And then we got look, I had to write stuff down, so I've been on hold for a long time.
It's all right.
Want to shout out to Big Ron Clay. Tell him car ain't got no roof. And I will be coming down Davenport tomorrow because all I've heard is Matt Ryan. I think she's got a crush on him. And all of these Titan fans that are calling in sounding so sad, I tell everybody that I'm around, that's the way our boys do. It takes them a minute to warm up. When they get going, there ain't no stopping them, and they're going to put us on the edge of the seat every game. That's the way it's been the whole time. That's why I love them, and I love you, Keith Bulluck.
Thank you, Susie.
Thank you, Susie. Appreciate the love.
Shout-outs for Ron Slay and Keith Bulluck calling one call.
And Dawn.
That's a
funny.
call out of Don Davenport.
Does Dawn have a crush on Matt
Ryan?
Ryan?
That's fantastic. That's fine. I'm tweeting that at Don Davenport right
good
now. We're going to get her
radio.
response. Thank you for the call, though, Susie.
That's bunk. That's bunk.
Tell you what, though, Tierre Tart was terrific, and that's the highlight of the season on defense so far right there for the Titans. Tipping it to yourself as a 300-pound nose tackle. That man got up there.
Yeah, he's always active in the front when he's in there. You know, I remember hearing his name a lot last year. He played well last year, starting off playing well this year, and that just adds on to somebody in the interior to go along with the Danico Autry as well as the Jeff Simmons to get Tierre Tart going, making a play. You know, a play that he's never made before. It's very rare that a defensive lineman is able to intercept his own tip. They get their hands on plenty of balls in the pass front, but, you know, to deflect his own tip and make an interception, now he's a household name, you know, it's something big to say for him. And that's a plus for the Titans defense, you know, obviously losing Harold Landry, to know that you can add other rushers, maybe not outside rushers, but interior guys that can push that pocket against quarterbacks that like to step up.
615-737-1045. We will take one more break before we look ahead to the Washington Commanders coming up next week and talk about what needs to be adjusted, and specifically look at what they were able to do today. Plus, we'll go rapid fires for one more segment on your phone calls at 615-737-1045. It's Titans Talk Back, presented by League Company on 1045 The Zone. One final segment of Titans Talk Back presented by League Company, powered by SA Recycling. Appreciate all of our great sponsors making this show happen. Will Boling, Keith Bulluck with you. Wrapping up, we look ahead to next week's opponent in the Look Ahead presented by Eurofix. Let me remind you that Eurofix repairs everything European that you drive and below dealer pricing with ASE certified technicians, a local company that has serviced Middle Tennessee for over 2 decades. Visit EurofixOnline.com. Next week, the Tennessee Titans are back on the road going into the bye week. They will head to Washington for their first game against the new look franchise there, the Washington Commanders. That is a noon start out there in FedEx Field. Award-winning Titans Countdown begins at 11 o'clock on Titans Radio, and that is our look ahead presented by Eurofix. 615-737-1045 is the number. We go to the phone lines rapid fire to finish off the show, where KD and Madison is first up here in our final segment. What's going on, KD?
Up, y'all. How y'all doing today?
We're good.
All right.
Hey, Keith. Hey, man. I just want to tell you, man, I've been a big fan for a long time. I was actually one of those foster kids you let come to the bubble in 2006, man, to meet y'all, man. So
that's cool,
you
man.
made me a real Titan fan.
I appreciate that, man. I'm
That's
glad
awesome.
you was able to come by back then.
Yeah. But yeah, I just want to talk about the officials. Really, it was just one play I was just trying to pick out. When that it was a catch, I think it was by Pierce on the sideline. I was like, when he came to the ground, the ball fell out of his hand.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't it was like nobody wanted to replay or even watch it or anything. And my second thing was about the offense. I was happy Derek got back going. I was happy about the offense overall, but we just got to do better in the second half, and that's about it.
Thank you, KD. Appreciate the call. Yeah, the missed bobble going to the ground for Pierce was a bad miss. I thought the refs were fine, though.
Yeah, the refs were fine. I don't necessarily remember that play, but obviously if you remember.
Yeah, there was just the one. And the Traylon Burks holding on the outside.
Yeah, that was bad. That
was pretty bad.
That wasn't really that wasn't I think Stephon Gilmore was just a savvy vet and just threw his hands up.
Yep. 100%. No, but certainly that is the discussion. And you mentioned the first drive of the second half is going to be a point of emphasis for the Titans going to Washington next weekend. It really want to see this team just impose its will in the second half and continue to show us something else as they see the previous Indianapolis Colts quarterback, Carson Wentz, part of a Washington team that loses again today.
Yeah, I think all the questions that are coming from the fans are warranted, and I know that the coaching staff from the Titans knows that they have to do better in certain areas. So I don't think that they mind the questions that are asked from the media and the fan base, because at the end of the day, they go back to work to correct those things. And it's only been 4 weeks. Going into week 5, we've seen other things within the offense this week that we didn't see in weeks before. What's great, and with the consistency that they're able to get Derek going, getting him in the pass game the last couple of games, to kind of get the ball to him in space. Once he gathers it and gets going, it's a problem. So I think that gives the opposing defenses other things to worry about. So maybe next week you come back out like that, start off with a screen or something to get Derek the ball in space, but let's get some first downs coming out of the half and, at least sustain a drive.
We go to Joe in Lebanon coming up next on the phone lines. What's going on, Joe? Good evening.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for taking my call. I appreciate it. I've always been a big Keith Bulluck fan going back in the day, so I appreciate him. But
thank you, sir.
I just had a quick couple of comments. You're welcome about the I know we always know that third down conversions are obviously critical point in the game, but it seems like maybe it's just me, but it's like an ongoing issue of either the opponent getting their third downs converted or the Titans not converting third downs. And I didn't know. I think today they were a little under 50%, and the Colts were a little over 50%. But I didn't know if it was the play calling, is it execution, is it a combination? Just kind of let me know what your thoughts are on the third down plays, and I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks, Joe. We got about 60 seconds, Keith.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the situation that they're in. Good third down offense can start with good first down offense. Getting positive yardage on first down. I know a couple times in the second half the Colts had some run blitzes drawn up to sink Derek for a loss. Now they're starting at second and either 12, second and 10, and then now you're trying to play catch up. Like we said, Ryan wasn't called on to force the ball or make big chunks downfield, so it just kind of kept the game within that short yardage frame, and getting negative yards on first and second down really hurts on third down.
Keith, thanks for coming on with us today. Enjoyed it.
It's been fun. Thanks for having me.
That'll do it for us. Titans radio coverage is produced by Philip Noel and Brad Willis. Studio producer is Joe Hunkapiller. Scoreboard producer Lucas Panzica. Promotions director Rich Ferris. Director of sales is Hunter Rice. General manager Allison Warren. Operations managers Charlie Cook and Paul Mason. The executive producer of Titans radio is Rhett Bryan. Back again next Sunday. I'm Will Boling for Brett Batchelor, Keith Bulluck. We will talk to you next Sunday for Titans and Commanders.